Hello everyone, my name is Jimmy and welcome back to The Last Lap. We have a really good episode for you guys today. We're going to talk about everything that happened at Nashville Super Speedway for NASCAR this past weekend. It was a triple header Truck, Xfinity, and Cup Series. Plus, one of us was actually at one of the races, so we'll give you guys some footage and tell you guys how that went. But before we hop into it, just a reminder to hit that subscribe button down below. Really does go a long way, helps the channel grow. And you can also check us out on Instagram at The Last Lap News. We try to post stuff on there throughout the week as well. And as always, I have my friend and co-host Matthew on the show. And how you doing today? You got back in town from Nashville, so how you feeling? Was the race good? Don't give too much away now, but overall, how was your experience in Nashville?
Man, that was one. I just got back home a couple hours ago from a 10-hour car ride back from Nashville. So, man, I had such an amazing experience. It was all fun. Got to thank the folks down there. And I'm ready to get into this weekend here. It's a special weekend.
That's dedication right there, coming straight out of the car, taking a shower, and getting on the show to talk. So thank you for doing that. I'm sure you're tired.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta get up early, but thank you for doing that. I'm gonna do the Truck and Xfinity race kind of together because I want to allow Matthew to share his experience and talk about that a lot. So I'll do the Truck and Xfinity recap really quick. The truck race was kind of interesting because John Hunter Nemechek wasn't really up front and didn't dominate the race like we kind of expect him to do on a weekly basis. It was kind of a mix of Derek Kraus, Todd Gilliland, Tanner Gray. They were kind of the ones up front for most of the race. Ryan Preece made his Truck Series debut and ended up winning the race, so I'm really happy for him. Glad he was able to get a Truck Series win. I think he raced for David Gilliland? He races for David Gilliland, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got that confused because I thought Todd Gilliland also raced for David Gilliland, but he races for Front Row. But anyway, so yeah, it was really cool to see him get his first Truck Series win in his first start. Hopefully that can relate to some success down the line. Maybe, I don't know, he can get some more truck rides or something because the Cup equipment isn't the best. So hopefully that leads to better opportunities for Ryan Preece in the future. The Xfinity race was once again the Kyle Busch show. Kyle Busch did get his 100th win in the Xfinity Series this past weekend. I'm sure Matthew's really happy about that. That's a really big accomplishment for Kyle Busch. He had to earn it again, though. Kind of like last week at Texas, there were a bunch of late race restarts there at the end, and Kyle was able to hold on to all those restarts at the end and ended up winning the race. There was a pretty crazy, I wouldn't say crazy crash, but there was a crash on the front stretch that involved Austin Cindric, who was my pick to win the race. It was kind of an interesting crash there on the front stretch there, but it was cautions again at the Xfinity race, and I think I heard Kyle say on the radio something like, every week this happens or something like that, and it does in the Xfinity Series. It's weird how all these races come down to late race restarts at the end and 2, 3, 4, 5 restarts at the end of the races, but Kyle Busch was able to hang on and win his 100th Xfinity Series race, so big accomplishment for him. And Matthew, go ahead and tell me your brief recap / opinion on the Truck and Xfinity race for the past weekend.
Well, first, the truck race was pretty good. It's great for Ryan Preece, as we all know his situation right now with Cup Series. We don't even think it's going to be finishing out the season in that car, and I highly doubt he's even going to be back in that car next year. So it's a good audition for a possible, ride next year, in either series. I think he needs to run full-time in the Xfinity Series, in my opinion, and a good ride. If not, he needs to do full-time in trucks in a good way. It has to be a good ride if you want to be in the lower series. I feel like, he will revive his career like John Hunter Nemechek is doing right now. So I think that's the route he needs to do, and that's a great way to show it with this win. Now with the Xfinity Series, I've been waiting to talk about this one. 100 wins. Look, I don't care what anybody says, Cup driver, lower series, it's not. Look, winning 100 races, no matter how you do the math, it's really hard to do. I mean, we only seen two drivers do it, David Pearson and Richard Petty. Nobody else has done it. I mean, Jeff Gordon was real close, but unfortunately, his last few years weren't so good for him. If he had good seasons, he probably would have reached 100. But yeah, it's tough to get to 100 wins, no matter how you do the math. And I don't want to hear, oh, it was so easy. If it was easy, he would have won in all his starts if it was that easy. But it's not. He had to deal with other Cup drivers in the series, especially like back then when a bunch of Cup drivers were racing in the Busch series. And then, the occasional, young talent beating him, the guys that stepped it up, like Eric Jones and Daniel Suarez, that come to mind, Austin Dillon. So it was tough, but it's nice to see that. It's nice to see that his Cup paint scheme on the Xfinity car with a different number. I feel like that makes it cooler, in my opinion, when the same paint scheme's on a different, body, a different car. So I think that I kind of like that difference. Now you can compare it like with two die-casts together. So but yeah, I was watching this at this restaurant in on Broadway Street downtown. So I got a good. It was on every TV on the restaurant too, so I got all the views there. So, but yeah, it was great to see a driver get 100 wins. I'm glad it was my driver, but yeah, definitely a great accomplishment.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if Kyle tries to go for the same thing in the trucks. I don't know where he's at in truck wins right now.
He's like 60 something.
Yeah, he's kind of close, but not really. So I don't think that would be feasible. If he only gets 5 races a year, he'd have to race for quite a long time to be able to do that. But yeah, it's a big accomplishment, no matter what series it is or anything. Like, he's got a huge gap over second place in the Xfinity series. Mark Martin had 49 or 51 or something like that, and that's the second most wins in the Xfinity series. So Kyle Busch definitely a talented driver, and that is seen through all 3 series of racing. So big accomplishment for him moving forward. I know there still is that rumor that he might still race in Xfinity next year, so he could get up to like 105 maybe, I don't know. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and transition into the Cup race now, but I kind of want to let Matthew sorry. I want to let Matthew kind of share about his experience and how that trip went for him and what he did, and maybe he can recap the race a little bit, and I'm just going to kind of step to the side and let him talk about his experience in the Cup race there not Martinsville, Nashville. But yeah, go ahead, tell me about the weekend, what you did while you were down there before you went to the race. Tell me how the race was, what did you think of it, and yeah, go ahead, just share your experience.
Well, I didn't go to the Xfinity or truck race. I only went to the Cup race, and during those 2 races, I was in downtown Nashville, since it was my first time going to downtown Nashville, and man, it is a great place. It's such a great place to be at. Broadway Street is, man, I did not expect to see Broadway Street to be that crazy. I mean, the closest thing I can relate to that is New York City. I haven't been to many big cities, but New York City, it's like the closest thing I could compare it to. Because Broadway Street, it's just crazy. So many people together, so many restaurants side by side and bars. And then the funniest thing is those party buses. But most of the time it's just country girls on there just partying, which was really funny, to be honest. but yeah, it is such a great place. So I would love to go back there if I had the chance to, and I recommend anybody who hasn't been there go down there. But on Sunday, I went to Nashville Super Speedway. Man, oh man, it was such an amazing experience. the parking, it took a while to to get out of the place, but that's how all racing tracks are. But it was a hot day. I mean, I had a wet towel on me all race long. I had a bunch of water. I couldn't drink Rowdy Energy this race. I had to stick with water because it was hot. I mean, it was like 97 degrees out there. I mean, you really had to stay hydrated, or you weren't gonna feel well all day long, or get sunburned too. But good thing I had sunscreen. But man, the facility, it's such unusual to have a facility like this small on a big track. Like it's a 1/3 mile track. And normally you'll see like, you know, tracks close to that size, like just a teeny bit bigger, like Texas and Charlotte, like their grandstands are like so, wide, so, large grandstands. But here's like this little small section, and then you got these little, temporary seating areas, which that's where I sat in one of those temporary seats or near turn one. But let's see. Oh yeah, I got a couple things. Of course, every race I go to, always got to get event pins right here. So I got the Ally 400 inaugural race one right here, and you can see all the other ones I've been to over the years. And then also, of course, always got to get a race version, but this time this isn't Kyle Busch. This is actually William Byron right here. His first career win at Daytona back last year in the Liberty University car. Of course, I only get these Kyle wins. That's the only ones I get, but this was the exception because since I'm a student at Liberty University, it's more special to me. More special to me because, we basically cheer for him like it's a, college basketball, college football. But, yeah, that's why I got there. So, yeah, we had to, yeah, it was a really great race. It was actually a good race, to be honest. I mean, it wasn't, I consider it better than Charlotte this year or the past few years of Charlotte or even Richmond the past few years. I consider it better than that. The first two stages were really a lot of cautions, and I noticed a lot of the problems were the brakes. Like they were blowing out their brakes in the turns. That seemed to be the main issue. I mean, that's not NASCAR's fault. It's just the teams. They didn't prepare. They thought they didn't really going to use a lot of brake, but it turned out you really had to use a lot of brakes. So that caused a lot of brake failures. And then there was that weird incident in turn one on lap one with Quinn Half, who loses a wheel in the first turn. Like, I know Jimmy's going to put the footage in this video, but it's kind of hard to see, but I actually got a little bit of that car going straight to the wall. I mean, it was like towards the end of the video, or towards the, like, when I was moving the camera to the backstretch. But yeah, he lost his wheel, and I'm sure one of his pit crew got fired for that after that. I mean, come on. But yeah, basically the whole race in a nutshell was basically Kyle Larson dominating and winning again. And then Ross Chastain, which had to be Kyle Larson's old ride, he finished second. And yeah, the last few laps were really crazy because I thought, it was a fuel mileage race. There was some guys running out of gas, like Kurt Busch ran out of gas. Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex ran out of gas. So, we didn't know if Larson was going to make it, but he still had enough fuel to make it, which didn't surprise me at all because he had a big lead. I mean, he had plenty of time, so that didn't surprise me. But man, seeing a sold-out crowd is just such an amazing thing to see. The past few years, the past races I've been to, I haven't seen a sold-out crowd, I haven't been to a sold-out race in a long time. The last time I have been the 2011 Daytona 500, when that race is always sold out. But But yeah, it's just so nice to see a sold out crowd. I mean, it was a beautiful thing to see. Um, but yeah, my experience, I loved it. I loved the race, man. I would love to come back to this racetrack again. I recommend anybody the next few years they're racing at this track, go to this racetrack. I think you're gonna have a lot of fun. It's definitely a great place, great facility. I had such an amazing time. So, but yeah, that summed up my amazing weekend I had. I noticed a lot of big NASCAR YouTubers were there also. I actually saw Eric East at Pit Road. Like, I didn't meet him, but had my binoculars out and I saw him Pit Road. Man, he's actually tall. I mean, he is taller than I thought he was. So that's something I learned. Well, yeah, one more thing. Alex Bowman's paint scheme, amazing to see in person. I'm glad I saw that. That's personally one of my new favorite paint schemes now on my list of all time. That's personally one of my favorites because they remind me of Miami South Beach colors, and that just makes it awesome. And I'm trying to think if there's any more left before I turn it to you, because I basically recapped the whole race. Oh yeah, a couple more things. Chase Elliott, we look like he didn't have enough lug nuts on. So yeah, that race didn't count for them. Man, you would think a crew that won the All-Star Pit Challenge would get all their lug nuts on, but apparently not. They got that celebration. I guess they celebrated a little too much. They forgot to put the lug nuts on. So, but don't worry, Chase fans. You won't have to complain anymore next year in a few months when you only have to worry about putting one lug nut on. So, only a few more months. So you just gotta survive a few more months of putting all those lug nuts on. Then you don't have to worry about it anymore, because it's really crucial. You gotta get that one lug nut on, or yeah, that's not gonna end well. So you don't have to worry about that in a few months from now. And one more thing, JGR ban pedigree on Kyle Busch's car, please. I knew when they were going to put that sponsor this week. I'm like, oh no, our race is ruined. And, well, I was right. Well, the first stage actually looked semi-promising. We were actually reeling in Larson. The next, we just sailed back like a rock. I mean, like a rock in the ocean. Oh my goodness. We got a ban pedigree of Kyle Busch's car, please. When is it going to come to the senses that every time they put this sponsor on the car, something is going to happen? I mean, I'll say the same thing. I mean, it's like what you say to Dallas Cowboy fans or pre-2018 Chase Elliott fans. What can go wrong will go wrong. And that's exactly what happens when he races the pedigree car. So I say we ban pedigree off Kyle Busch's car. We put it on Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex, or Christopher Bell's car instead. Let them see it. They get the curse on there as well. So, but yeah, I know that was a little long, but I had such an amazing time at Nashville Super Speedway. I gotta thank the folks out there for bringing NASCAR back to Nashville. And it was definitely an amazing place to be at, downtown and Super Speedway. And it was just hard to believe just a year ago it was an abandoned racetrack with no future. Basically, brand new cars just sitting there. And here we are this weekend. A bunch of sold out crowd and amazing racing. So that's what I have to say on this amazing weekend. And I know you'll be seeing the footage that I got with this video while we're talking, so you'll be able to see the footage as well.
Yeah, it was really really interesting how NASCAR was able to, well, I guess it was more Nashville, the racetrack itself kind of getting some renovations done to it. I think they redid part of the infield. I'm not sure what else they did, but it's really cool to see how quick they were able to make some changes to that track. Like, it wasn't like a band, like nothing happened there for a year and a half, but like the track wasn't abandoned for so long that the track was just completely useless. So it was good to see them not stray away from there too long, so the changes they made to the track weren't that significant and probably didn't cost as much money as it could have if they're like, if NASCAR's trying to refurbish North Wilkesboro or something. Like, that's going to cost a lot more money than what they had to do to Nashville, just because they didn't be on Nashville for that too long. So really good to see them bring that back, and hopefully they'll be at the fairgrounds in a few years as well. I think Chase Elliott actually mentioned it on the pre-race show, something about wanting to go to the fairgrounds in the next few years. So yeah, I mean, you pretty much summed up the whole race. There's not really much for me to talk about, but yeah, the whole thing with Chase was frustrating, but he was falling back in the third stage anyways, probably because of those lug nuts. His car was probably pretty loose and probably couldn't drive it too well because of those issues with the lug nuts. Yeah, the thing that I don't like the most is that the stage win was taken away, because that's an extra playoff point that could go a long way in the playoffs. Not really sure why that got taken away. If like he won the first stage and I don't know, but oh well, whatever. Still a long season to go, and if you win, you're in, and he came up pretty clutch in the playoffs last year, so I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. And as far as Kyle Busch goes, I was thinking while you were saying that stuff about Chase, I was like, you can't talk, because Kyle, he was up there and then dropped like a rock. His car was so loose, like he almost hit the wall 2 or 3 times coming off of turn 2 or turn 4. I don't know how he saved that car.
It's the pedigree curse. Ever since we wrecked Dale Jr. at 2008, which was my first race I went to, by the way, the spirit of the Earnhardts put a curse on every time he runs the pedigree car. And now look, the history the pedigree car has now. It's the curse car. And I didn't expect anything spectacular coming out when he's racing that car, so doesn't surprise me.
So let me go over the top 10 really quick. So Kyle Larson obviously gets the win, his 3rd points paying race win in a row, his 4th win in a row if you count the All-Star race. Ross Chastain's 2nd, really impressive run for him. He was up there most of the race. William Byron 3rd, another great run for him in Hendrick Motorsports. Eric Almirola 4th, and Kevin Harvick 5th. SHR finally showing a little bit of speed here, so hopefully that can continue throughout the summer. Ricky Stenhouse 6th, a great run for him. Daniel Suarez 7th, I didn't even know that. Great run for Daniel Suarez, finished in 7th. Kurt Busch 8th, Christopher Bell 9th, and Joey Logano rounds out the top 10. So, great efforts for those guys right there. Obviously, I think SHR kind of stands out a little bit, as well as Ross Chastain, Ricky Stenhouse, and Daniel Suarez. So, some great runs for those guys moving forward throughout the summer. Hopefully, they can keep it up. Pocono doubleheader next weekend. That'll be interesting, but we have to do our rating of the race and our fantasy first. I almost forgot about that. I guess I'll rate the race first. I loved the 750 horsepower package this week. I thought it was really good. Even though Kyle Larson checked out to 2, 3, 4 second lead, it was still really good to see the drivers handle the cars and race them the way they raced. Like I said, Kyle Busch saved the car several times off of the corner, and there was pretty good amount of passing as well. The bottom lane worked a little bit, and the top lane worked a little bit as well, so great passing. I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. I thought it was a pretty solid race. Like, it wasn't the best race in the world, but it wasn't a trash 550 horsepower race, so I'll give it a 7.5. A pretty good race. But yeah, what are you gonna rate it? I know you were there, so it'll probably be a little bit better for you rating it, but go ahead, tell me what you were gonna rate it.
Well, I'm actually going to give it a 7 out of 10 as well. I mean, having the 750 horsepower package of this track was the absolute best decision NASCAR could make, for sure. I mean, thank goodness for not running the worst package I could think of. I mean, totally better than the absolute the absolute circus we had last weekend. But the racing was really great. In my opinion, we get to see real talent. Cars, drivers saving their cars, and plus, being there, being the atmosphere, the whole experience there was just amazing. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
Alright, so now we're going to go into our fantasy update, and I'm slowly closing the gap, slowly but surely. So you got 1 point for Kyle Busch winning the Xfinity race, and I got 3 for Kyle Larson winning the Cup race. So you have 21 now, and I have 14. So still a 7-point deficit, but I'm slowly closing in. I think I was down 11 or 12 at one point, so slowly coming back. I'm slowly coming for you, but next weekend, obviously the Pocono doubleheader, but do you have any other final thoughts or reactions before we wrap it up?
Well, I'm tired. Long weekend. Like I said, I just had such an amazing time there. And yeah, I'm tired, I'm ready to go to sleep, and not really looking forward to Pocono because it's not one, as I know, not so good track for these cars.
Yeah, I can feel it. I totally feel that. I'm tired as well. I've got a busy week ahead of me, and yeah, I'll be up at 11 o'clock at night for the next 2, 3, 4, or 5 nights in a row. So that'll be fun, but make sure you look out for our Pocono preview video that should be coming out later this week. We have the truck and the first Cup race on Saturday, and then we have the Xfinity, and then the first or second Cup race on Sunday. So that'll be interesting to see how a doubleheader works. I know they did it a few times back when COVID was happening. They did a few doubleheader races in a week, so that'll be interesting for sure. But make sure you check out for that video coming out later this week. And as always, we will see you guys in the next video.